The poem Last Sonnet by John Keats is addressed to a star. The poet expresses the poet's wish to be as constant as the star, and it follows the form of the 14-line Shakespearean sonnet, which has an alternate rhyme scheme followed by a rhyming couplet at the end of the poem. The poem reads, "Bright star, would I were steadfast as thou art, not in lone splendour hung aloft the night, and watching, with eternal lids apart, like nature's patient sleepless eremites, the moving waters at their priest-like task of pure ablution round earth's human shores, or gazing on the new soft fallen mask of snow upon the mountains and the moors. No, yet still steadfast, still unchangeable, pillowed upon my fair love's ripening breast, to feel forever its soft fall and swell, awake forever in a sweet unrest, still to hear her tender taken breath, and so live, or else swoon to death." The first line of the poem, "Bright star, would I were steadfast as thou art." Here, the star is unchanging, constant. The poet wants his love and emotional state to be like that, unfaltering, just as the star is unchanging. The next line reads, "Not in lone splendour hung aloft the night." Now this word aloft is worth noting. Above, high over the earth, Keats is pointing out the star's isolation, as well as a positive quality, its splendour. This idea of separation contrasts with the poet's relationship with his beloved later. The next line reads, "And watching, with eternal lids apart." Now this word lids is interesting because it's a reference to eyelids. The star's isolation is implicit in its watching. It never sleeps. There is also a lack of motion in these lines. The next line reads, "Like nature's patient sleepless eremite." Now I want to point out this word eremite. It's a reference to a hermit, usually with a religious connotation. It emphasizes the star's sleeplessness is part of the characterization of the star's non-humanness, which makes it an impossible goal for a human being such as the poet to aspire to, but he aspires to it nonetheless. The next line reads, "The moving waters at the priest-like task." Now this line is, of course, like the rest of the poem, quite interesting. It refers to the rise and the fall of the tides twice a day, which are seen as a religiously performed ritual. With the poem's shift to earth, there is movement and aliveness, as well as spirituality with this word priest-like. The next line reads, "Of pure ablution round earth's human shores." Now, ablution is a religious cleaning, it's ritual washing. This reference continues the religious imagery of eremite and priest-like. Human is what the poet is and the star is not, and yet he aspires to be like this unchanging, unfaltering star. The poem continues, "Or gazing on the new soft fallen mask." The mask is the covering of snow on the ground. This snow has pleasing connotations, being new and soft. All the moon can do is gaze. "Of snow upon the mountains and the moors." Beauty here is the snow which is found in diverse places on earth. The alliteration here, the repetition of M sounds, stresses the connection of these words, the mountains and the moors, which is where natural beauty lies when it comes to snow falling upon the tops of the mountains and the tops of the moors. The poet continues, "No, yet still steadfast, still unchangeable." Now this repetition of the word still is interesting. The poem turns again to himself. Still has two meanings here. It could mean always or ever, and it could mean motionless. So something can be still, continuing, or it can be still in the sense that it's not moving. Then of course he talks about being pillowed upon my fair love's ripening breast. The movement and change in human life are introduced with ripening, a contrast to the star. He's talking about lying on his lover's chest. The next line reads, "Pillowed upon my fair love's ripening breast." The movement and change in human life are introduced with the word ripening, a contrast to the star. The next line reads, "To feel forever its soft fall and swell." Fall and swell are also change and movement. The word soft could be a reference to her soft skin. Then we read, "Awake forever in a sweet unrest." In contrast to the eternal sleeplessness and motionlessness of the star, the poet is not sleeping, is active, awake. Now change or flux become desirable, sweet unrest an oxymoron. Then we read, "Still, still, to hear her tender taken breath." The repetition of the word still, it's used 4 times in 5 lines, emphasizes time, timelessness for human beings. The word breath is flux, and tender makes it positive. "And so live ever, or else swoon to death." 3 of the last 4 lines use for ever or ever, emphasizing steadfastness in time or eternity. But it is an eternity of love. Because of its position as the last word in the poem, and because of being an accented syllable, death carries a great deal of weight in the final effect and meaning of the poem, of dying from love. And that is how the poem ends.